Hi. Okay, my love, are we going to read American author or South African author? While I mess with the filters again. Maxie. You're not sleeping. Just pick South African or American. South African or American? South African. Hi, Bill. So good to have you. Okay, so I am in a different location. I am at Max's house. Let's do this one. Bill also says South African, so we will read a South African story. Okay, let's just wait a little bit longer just to see who else can come up. So as usual, it is reading with me. I am doing it a little bit earlier tonight, because I have a little tiny headache and I'm very tired, so I want to go to bed early. So we're going to read a South African author. Thank you for picking Bill, from my Kindle, because that's all I have available to me today. See, bloop 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 bloop. So we will pick a book from my Kindle and we will read the first chapter. As usual, this is the reset to the new week. As you know, Mondays make me anxious. Not a big fan of Mondays, so this was a fun and new way for me and for you to go into a new week relaxed, rejuvenated, refreshed, and reintroduced or introduced to some good books and bad books. So I think I'm actually going to pick a very good book by a South African author. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. It was recommended to me by Mr. Pink Ink. He talked about it so much and I was very, very curious about it, especially because it took place in Grahamstown, a place that I know, but I don't really know. So I bought the book. I saw it was on special on Amazon, so I bought it and I really, really enjoyed it. It's called Keyflame by Tallulah. It's also a very pretty cover. You can see, very pretty. And let's read the first chapter. Ready, steady. Okay, so before we go any further into Keyflame, I just want to say that you don't have to join us for the live. I do re-upload it onto my YouTube. It's ideally just supposed to be background noise, so you can carry on writing, you can carry on planning for your new week. Just go into it very, very relaxed. And I think next week we're going to read Bill's book, Misfortunism, also a very, very good book. I want to get the second one, but I'm kind of saving because I have the actual book and I want to add the book. I want to add the second one to my collection, and I think I want to add Ilse's book, The Last Day Saga, as well. I think her book is called Twisted Fate, and eventually I'm going to add the rest of Sarah Blue Publishing's book to my collection. But for now we are going to be reading Keyflame by Tallulah. Okay, so chapter 1. Two masts rise out of the mist like there's a wrecked ship in its ocean of cloud. I blink. Dad and I have been driving for 12 hours to get to Grahamstown, and I'm apparently already having visitations like the scurvied sailors who first rounded the African continent, only my Flying Dutchman ghost ship is on solid land. Solid land 3 hours from the coast. I blink again, but the vision does not disappear. I need to get more sleep. Dad taps on the windscreen. Look, Lila, the 1820 settlers monument. Oh. Beneath the masts, a squat-faced brick building emerges from the fog. The monument has featured in his stories about this place, but he never mentioned the masts. That's where they'll hold your graduation ceremony, he adds. We haven't even reached my university residence yet, and he's already talking about my graduation. I rest my head up against the cold window and watch as my breath steams it up. You're going to love it here, he fills the silence, as he always does. Of course he expects me to love it here. He loved it here. But I'm not like him. My father is the fearless prosecutor Dureau. Every day he faces the worst of humanity and locks them away. He's practically a superhero. Me? I'm nothing unless I have an exam paper in front of me. If my father's footsteps have echoes that would be heard for decades to come, mine ring out as loud as bluebells, which is to say, not at all. You'll be okay. Dad keeps his attention on the road. It's beautiful. You'll see. He rattles off names of places I know only from his tales. He always makes Grahamstown sound magical, and a land of ivy-covered walls and spiral staircases with rolling green lawns and quaint townhouses. When I was younger, his stories enchanted me. I listened to descriptions of classes, canteen food, and midnight escapades to Grey Dam, the way the other kids would listen to adventures of Robin Hood. Sometimes he'd even mention my mother. These were the only times he did, like Guinevere or Rapunzel. My mother existed solely within his stories. Sometimes I wonder how much of his love for Grahamstown was truly in the town itself, and how much was for the fair maiden he met here. Like most of the old myths, their story ends with a tragedy, one he will never talk about. Not even today, when we drove right past the place where it happened. I reached my morbid thoughts towards the safer shores for both of us. Why is the monument shaped like a ship? The lines around Dad's mouth pull into a frown as he realizes I wasn't listening to his story at all. I tense as I wait for him to scold me for interrupting, but he doesn't. There's a first. Well, they arrived here by sea, the settlers. King George sent them off with the promise of farms in Africa. Poor bastards. He didn't tell them the land was already occupied. Between famine, disease, and war, it's a wonder Grahamstown is still here at all. So much for the glittery fairy tale. Grahamstown is now an island of a town, 2 hours away from the nearest city, which happens to be Port Elizabeth. That's the city where I was born, but I haven't been to this part of the country since I was a few weeks old. Home for me is Cape Town, a full day's drive away. Home has malls and cinemas and libraries. Does Grahamstown even have a library? My chest tightens with sudden dread. Don't be an idiot. Of course it has a library. It's a university town and a cultural hub known for its annual Festival of the Arts. It will have a library for certain, maybe even 2, and museums and theatres. And anyway, I'll be home for vacation just in a couple of months. A giant sign beside the rain-slicked road welcomed us. Below, an advert for the local supermarket boasts, with prices so low that even the students get fed. I'm not ready for this. I thought I would be. When my cousin Tammy set off for backpack through Europe last week, I confessed how desperate I was to escape from Dad's scrutiny. He wishes to shield me from the horrors he sees in court. I can't blame him for that, but it's suffocating. I've been counting down the days until I can have a little freedom, until I can be around people my own age without having to explain my every move. Only now that it's finally happening, I feel ill. Sorry. Oh, please excuse me, I really am very tired. We pull up outside my residence, a dull red brick building with arched windows and decorative cornices. The acceptance letter said I'd have my own room, and I'm grateful for that tiny piece of reassurance, because from the outside this looks like the sort of place where you'd find students packed in narrow bunk beds, rising at dawn to sing It's a Hard Knock Life. Perhaps I'm only exchanging one prison for another. The dreary sky above is hardly the most promising of welcomes. Orientation for new students officially starts tomorrow. Sorry. Starts tomorrow. But the letter strongly recommend I attend a meet and greet tonight. Dad assured me it would be worth getting up at 4 a.m. and driving through 4. But I suspect he was just excited to get to Grahamstown. Quick question about Grahamstown, if anyone's ever been there. Do they really have like a settlers monument? Because I think that would be pretty cool. Maybe next time, if we drive to Cape Town, we can go past Grahamstown. No? Max says we can. You heard it here first. Not verbally, but he nodded. Thank you, Maxie. The smell of potpourri scented wood polish hits us as we walk through a wide wooden door in the entrance hall. Rain patters against the high window, doing nothing to lift my unease. I'm really sorry. I'm very, very tired. Okay. Let's carry on. Sorry for yawning. I really do apologize for that. We're ushered through to a room packed with people. There are so many of them, it's almost impossible to move without brushing someone's shoulder. The air is warm and thick. There's not enough of it. That's a very good description. I like that. Dad takes my elbow and guides me through the crowd towards an older woman at the other end of the room. She has brown skin and bright, cheerful eyes. I'm really sorry that I keep yawning. It's been a rough week. Not rough in a bad sense. Rough as in I've just been very busy and waking up very early. I'm still trying to get into a routine. But anyway, she's talking to a small group of girls my age, but she stops when she sees Dad and her hand flies to her mouth. 𝚁𝚎₡. 𝚁𝚎₡? 𝚁𝚎₡. I hope I'm saying that right. 𝚁𝚎₡? But it's 𝚁𝚎₡. Please correct me if I am saying it wrong. Maybe I should ask Tallulah herself how you say it. 𝚁𝚎₡. He gives her a smile, but it's kind of tight, which is odd because he told me that Miss 𝚁𝚎₡. Stop laughing at me, Max. He's laughing at me because I'm yawning so much. I'm really sorry for yawning so much. Which is odd because he told me that Miss 𝚁𝚎₡, the warden, is an old friend. Maybe he's just nervous to see her after such a long time. Her gaze moves immediately to me, and there's an unexpected intensity there. This must be Lila. Mama, you're the image of your mother, aren't you? I wish I knew. Dad only keeps one photograph of her, so I'm not exactly the expert. 𝚁𝚎₡ grabs me by my shoulders and has a good hard look. Don't worry about a thing. We'll take care of you here. I feel my cheeks heating under her intense scrutiny. That doesn't sound much like freedom. I'm really sorry. I think I'm gonna go make coffee. I think I'll make coffee after this. Or I'll just go straight to bed. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. It sounds like I'm being passed off to another protective parent. You should go mingle now, says Dad. But his gaze is focused on 𝚁𝚎𝚊𝚑 and she nods imperceptibly. Imperceptibly. Great. Time to brief the new guardian on just how much of my life she should control. I know when his suggestions are anything but. So I head into the crowd to mingle. As if it's easy, as if I can just approach some stranger and strike up a conversation. I skirt the edges of the crowd, trying to find anyone who's standing alone. But all the other girls are talking to their parents or each other. And they're all beautiful. They're wearing trendy clothes and makeup. They're laughing and smiling. And their hair is sleek and perfect. Again, I'm so sorry. Here I am with wild black hair, mussed by the long drive, in my baggy jersey, and probably the only pair of jeans in the room that doesn't have fashionable rips. While scanning the crowd, I spot an open door a little way away. It lets in a cool breeze and invites us to spill out into the garden. If I have to choose between rain and socializing with strangers, it's a no-brainer. I make a strategic exit. Same. Hard relate. Clumps of dripping lavender, soaked marigolds, and soft pink flowers, small as butterfly wings, brighten the garden's edges. Beyond that is a rolling lawn. The wet air smells like earth and floral perfume, and the rain is so light it barely tickles my skin. Very, very good description there. Through the haze of drizzle, a giant marquee dominates the green. Men on ladders are stringing up twinkling lights across the tent's entrance. Perhaps Grahamstown is just a little bit magical after all. I settle on a rain-damp bench and pull out my phone and thumb to the Kindle app. Again, very hard relate. It is quite a long chapter, but I think we will finish it. Okay. Dad is none too pleased when he finds me sitting alone in the garden on my phone when I'm supposed to be forging friendships that would last a lifetime. He doesn't say as much, but I'm the only child of a single parent. I can sense it in the clipped edge of his sentences, in the stiff way he moves as Miss 𝚁𝚎𝚊𝚑 leads us to see my room. The fact that I won't be sharing it is about all that can be said in its favor. It's small, dim, and smells of damp. Miss 𝚁𝚎𝚊𝚑 hurries past me and opens the grey curtains above the desk on the far side. Weak light trickles in. A tree blocks most of the view from the street. I'm tense for Dad's bluster given his mood, but it doesn't come. He stands in the doorway, nodding at each piece of furniture in turn, which doesn't take him long considering there's only a small sink, a closet, the desk, and a narrow bed. My suitcase takes up the remaining floor space. Well, I'll leave you to get settled then, Dad says. I think I'll go find myself a shower. See you tomorrow, La. You know I'm just a phone call away if you need anything. And by anything, he means if I freak out at a party and need Daddy to come rescue me. See you tomorrow, Dad. After he leaves with the warden, I sit down heavily on the bed. My room. It's not quite what I pictured. There isn't even space for a bookshelf. But a small thrill runs through me because it's mine. I unpack carefully, deciding on a system of sorting, then rearranging to fit the tiny cupboard. When I come to the final item in my suitcase, twilight is tinting everything in blue. It's almost time for our tour of the facilities. I might be a little late, but I want to do this first. I withdraw the map from my case as if it's some smuggled artifact. It's not, although I suppose it was brought here illicitly. brought here illicitly. It holds no value to anyone but me. It isn't even a map of a real place. It's a drawing. Dad could never understand why I enjoyed sketching, let alone sketching cartography of a non-existent kingdom. He encouraged me to give up this weird hobby, and as far as he knows, I did around the same time I gave up stuffed animals. Looking down at the map, now even in the strange light, it strikes me that it isn't even a well-drawn map, and that maybe my little act of rebellion is kind of pitiful. Regardless, there's a hook above the bed and I hang the map. It matches the somber dark wood of the room, and it makes it feel a tiny bit more like home. A crowd of girls is already milling about in the common room, and Miss 𝚗𝚊𝚅 is in the midst of them, answering questions I can't quite make out above the general chatter. I'm a blob of monochrome in a sea of bleach blonde and sparkles. Tammy, who's a fan of pink and shiny, tried to convince me to bring me some of her clothes so that I can fit in. But Tammy is older than me and different from me in almost every way. Her clothes would have been wasted sitting in a closet upstairs. Still, at this moment in time, I regret my refusal. Smile, Lala, she'd coach. Don't be so standoffish. Be approachable. I realize my arms are folded and my jaw is clenched. I draw a deep breath and try to relax my posture, try to force a smile. It feels false, as if I'm a robot trying to figure out how to act human. It must be working though, because one of the girls standing near me grins back and bounces excitedly on the balls of her feet. Miss 𝚗𝚊𝚅 introduces herself, listing facts that I already know from Dad. She's a nurse at the local hospital by day, another mark in her favor as my guardian, and as far as Dad was concerned, she was born in Grahamstown, but her family now lives in the city. We mustn't hesitate to come to her if we have any problems. She takes us through the res, shows us the bathroom and the laundry room, and briefs us on emergency procedure. Then we walk through the drizzle to the dining hall. It's made of brick too, adorned with large stained glass windows, and I overhear someone saying that it's a remnant of a monastery that used to occupy these grounds. The excited girl falls into step beside me as we enter the hall. OMG, am I loving this architecture? Is she trying to start a conversation? If so, I'd wish she'd given me a better opener. I know nothing about architecture. Yes, it's nice. She spins on the spot. Her blonde hair flies about her, and her little black dress flares out. She giggles. University! Again, and I'm at a loss for words. Luckily, she sticks out her hands. I'm Jess. Lila. That's a pretty name. Thank you. Where are you from? I hate small talk, but I'm relieved for it as we line up for our dinner trays. Jess directs me the conversation effortlessly, and during a meal of warm lamb stew, I learn every banal detail about her I could wish to. She's from Johannesburg. Her parents want her to study accounting, but she plans to register for something that won't bore me to death. She has brothers, but they studied elsewhere. She attended the arts festival in Grahamstown before, but has never visited campus. I smiled through the whole thing. I want to be friendly. I want to be liked. And it would be nice to have a friend, even if we have little in common. On the way back to res, she wants to talk outfits for the meet and greet, and I'm tongue-tied. I might be able to bluff my way through dinner table conversation, but when she starts talking fashion brands, I'm outed as a clueless nerd. My ears are hot as I shrug and say, I like to wear what's comfortable. I get it. She nods, and for a moment I think she understands. I got this cute black dress at a thrift shop once. Oh, she thinks it's about money. I'm not sure what's worse. I try to laugh and make an odd grating sound instead. What size are you? She asks. It's doubtful anything she owns will fit me. She looks as though a strong gust of wind might carry her off. A medium, I guess. She startles me by reaching out and taking a clump of my hair. That's weird. Come with me. We'll sort this out. And just like that, I'm apparently signed up for a beauty makeover. I don't know what to expect. Television show montages and movie transformations play through my mind as I follow her up to her room. It's the same size as mine, but pink from top to bottom. Jess has brought her own duvet set, her own curtains, and even her own fluffy rug. Do you have a boyfriend, Lila? She asks as she sweeps the hangers aside in the closet. Really, can't we talk about something that's actually interesting? I have never had a boyfriend. The closest I ever came was a blind date Tammy set up for me. He spoke about World of Warcraft the whole time, and I spilled hot chocolate down my front. Needless to say, there was no second date. I tell Jess no, but I try to sound confident about it, as if it's a choice. Well, you'll have one before the end of the night, she winks at me. I'll make it my personal mission. And that was chapter 1 of Keyflame by Tallulah Lucy. And like I said, it does have a bit of a slow start, but once you get into it, it's really, really good, and it's very interesting, and it's got a very interesting story. So I enjoy it. I recommend it. I just want to tell you that last week, Sunday, we read Handbook for the Morally Questionable, and it's an awful book. I really tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, but the author spent like 8 pages, I don't even know, on describing what a whole bunch of characters look like, but we never ever meet the characters again. She tells us weird little tidbits about them, and like I said, we never see the characters again. So I don't think I'm going to carry on reading it. I don't know if I'm going to try. I'm definitely not going to try tonight because I have got a headache. But it did inspire me to do something called seeing as we have reading with me with Kara. I decided we are going to do writing with Kara, and I would love to feature other authors and their writing advice, tips and tricks that they have learned over the years. And if it's very popular, I think I might do it every Friday. And if not, then I think about the end of the month, every month is good. I have got a little surprise coming up sometime this week, a little announcement. It's not that great of an announcement, but it is something coming back to my internetness, and I think we are done for the night. I am going to go to bed. I'm very tired. My head hurts. But thank you so much for joining me. This will be re-uploaded onto YouTube, so if you like the background noise, please feel free to plug it in on the background there. But thank you so much for joining me. If you have any books you want to read, or any books you want to talk about / make fun of / discuss, please feel free to leave it in the comment below. And I hope you have a wonderful, brilliant, bright and shiny new week. And stay safe, wear a mask, take care of yourselves, and have a good night and a good rest of your week. Bye bye. Okay, how do I end this now? Okay, bye bye.